Hello my beautiful people. Today we will be doing an ombre tutorial, but before we begin, make sure you subscribe, follow our socials, like, and comment. I will be using two cute nails products today. This is their beautiful Kolinsky brush in a size 12. This is my pride and joy. I love her. And for our first ombre, we will be doing an acrylic with French white. I am not sure if it's in stock right now. You can check if I'm wrong, and we'll be using glass clear. I also did use bubblegum, but I didn't take a video. Alright, so an acrylic ombre, that's like the classic way to do an ombre. There's many methods now and we'll talk about those later. Let's begin. I'm going to zoom in so y'all can see what I'm doing. You're going to get a small bead, small to medium, depending on the length. This layer should not be thick at all. It should be just thin. You'll place it right below the tip. And what I like to do is I press the very top to kind of blend. That way it's a more seamless ombre. Once I have blended the top, I begin to just drag my product by tapping, never just fully dragging to blend. Just tapping and moving. This makes sure that you don't remove product. I'm making sure I'm covering the entire tip and I don't have any missing spots that don't have color. And remember, this is a thin layer just because we will be adding a clear to encapsulate, and if it's a little thicker, it's harder to create an ombre. Because that first layer is so thick, you need way more product, the base, to blend and make an ombre, and on top of that, encapsulating, it will make the nail way too thick. And we want to avoid that. Here I am, I'm just cleaning up, making sure the shape is still intact, just to save me time while I'm filing. Another thing I like to do, if let's say the product pulls down at the very tip of the nail, I like to kind of like brush in reverse like that, blend upward in a way. And that way this layer is even. And that is it for your first bead. Remember, tapping motions will help a lot moving the product. Don't instantly drag until you have gotten the product all the way down to the tip. Now for the ombre, you're going to grab a small bead. You're going to place it right where the tip meets the nail. Basically, you want to cover that harsh line to have a more seamless blend. I tap the top of the bead just so it doesn't create like a bulge on top, making sure I go from sidewall to sidewall. And once that's done, I tap the bead and then I blend. The reason why I tap and I do all of those things beforehand is because I want to avoid creating a thick nail, and I want to make sure I make great use of the product. You don't want to waste any. This is your first bead. You can do it in 3 beads. I do it in 2, so this would be my cuticle bead. Do whatever works best for you. I place it right below the cuticle and I slowly push upward to get it as close to the cuticle as possible. Very lightly. Now, if you do 2 beads, you have to work quite fast with your cuticle bead just because you don't want it to dry away too fast. So if you're still figuring out how to work with acrylic, I suggest doing it in 3 beads. That way you don't feel overwhelmed by the fact that you have to work quite fast. So basically for this bead, I did the same thing as the first. I tapped and I brought down by tapping and then I blended. Now if you're happy with this, you can totally keep it. I personally wanted the blend to be a little bit longer, so I just add a little bead. I blend upwards first. You also want to be quick with this because the bead does dry. And then I blend down. You want to work fast because the easier the blend is when the bead is still a little bit wet. And here you have it. I love this combination. It is so pretty. This is bubble yum and French white. You can go to twocutenails.com to check out if they have these in stock. And that is it for acrylic ombre. Now after this, you do encapsulate. Why do we encapsulate an ombre if it already looks perfect? It's to keep it perfect. If you let it dry and you file it, you're basically filing off the ombre that you just created. So by encapsulating, you are protecting the ombre and making sure that when you file, it's still as pretty and the blend isn't filed away. Depending on how thick your nail is already, if it's too thin, then make sure you add a good amount of clear acrylic just so it doesn't end up breaking after a while. If your nail is already a bit thick, don't add a whole big bead of clear acrylic. That's just going to make it a whole lot thicker and way harder to file, and it's going to take twice as long. So make sure you check your sidewalls and determine what size bead you need. And here you have it. This is the encapsulation process. No matter what ombre you're doing, what method you're using, make sure you're encapsulating. If it requires you to use gel, acrylic, glitter, anything, you always have to encapsulate. And here we have it. If you have any questions, make sure you comment down below and we will do our best to answer them. We will be moving on to the next tutorial, which will be a glitter ombre, and for that we will be using Everyday Nude. This is my favorite nude of all time, and along with that we will be using Baby Doll. It's such a pretty hot pink glitter. I personally love it so much. And we will begin. You're gonna start with your glitter. Glitter is quite hard for it to stick to the nail. What you can do is add a very thin layer of clear. That way your glitter kind of like sticks to it. I had a bit of trouble, so maybe that's why it didn't stick as well. But moving on. So you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to just apply it to where the tip is at. Don't put it anywhere near the natural nail bed just because it's not necessary. You'll only be applying it to the tip, making sure you cover the entire tip and there are no missing spots. Also make sure that you are cleaning your brush at all times. When acrylic gets stuck on the nail brush and then you're tapping and moving the acrylic, it kind of sticks to the nail brush all over again, and it makes the application process a lot harder. So make sure you're cleaning your brush at all times. I love this glitter. It is so pretty. If you're using a chunky glitter like this one, you have to encapsulate no matter what. If you do an ombre just like that, if there are any spaces, the nude or whatever base you're using will get stuck in those spaces and the ombre will not be ombreing anymore. Just add a little thin layer of clear. You don't want this to be a thick layer either. A thin layer of acrylic just creates a more cleaner blend. It doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as the glitter is covered. If it's a fine glitter, I don't think you need to encapsulate. At least I don't, but do whatever works best for you and you feel the most comfortable with. Now, once you're done putting your glitter and encapsulating your glitter, you're going to move on to your base. The same method as always, place it right where the tip meets the natural nail to cover that harsh line of the glitter. And as always, tap the top of your bead, make sure you cover sidewall to sidewall, and then you can blend. Now for this specific ombre, personally me, I don't like the base to drag down way too long or way too far down, just to give some kind of like room for the glitter to keep shining, right? Personally, but again, do what you like and what you think looks best. Now again, you can also separate this in like 3 beads. I low-key felt like I should have done 3 beads because my cuticle bead kind of dried a little fast. My room is extremely hot and it does play a role into like how fast your acrylic dries, but I made it work. So again, you place it right below the cuticle, you push it up very slightly, press the bead down before you blend, and once you press it down, blend. This just makes sure that I don't create a bulky nail. That is the reason why I kind of press down before I blend. So it's a good tip if you ever want to use it. But we are done with our glitter ombre, at least most of the steps. We just need to encapsulate. Now encapsulating and tip, in case you feel like you did your nail a little thick, I place the bead right in the middle. I blend upwards first and then I go ahead and make sure I cover the entire nail. I only do this when I feel like the base, it's a bit thick. So I just kind of make sure the entire nail is even. You always make sure to look at your side, the side of the nail obviously, to determine how thick you need to encapsulate. I hope that made sense. Sometimes I just babble and I feel like I'm explaining something well and then I'm not, or maybe I'm just thinking about it too much. But anyway, as you can see, I'm checking my side wall and I saw that it's pulling at the tip. I blend it upward to make sure it's even. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm glad I showed that. Anyways, make sure you are cleaning up your side walls at all times just to keep a clean shape, and boom, we are done. Moving on to our next nail, we will be doing a gel polish using Flamingo and Violet Lullaby. This is my favorite color ever. I love her. Now this is a method that I discovered a couple years ago. I did not have the acrylic color that my client wanted at the time, so I went ahead and I used gel polish. I know it was gonna work. I have no idea, but I just add a thin layer of gel polish. If it's already pigmented enough, you only need 1 layer. If you feel it's not super pigmented, you need another layer. You can definitely add another layer. After you finish putting on the gel polish, only place it on the tip. Don't put it anywhere else or on the natural nail. After you're done placing it on the tip, you are going to cure it for 60 seconds. After that, you're going to encapsulate the gel polish only. If you use the base right away, it's not going to create a seamless blend because gel and acrylic are different products and they don't have the same material. So I just encapsulate the gel. That way my ombre is actually well blended. You can just use a thin layer. Again, every time you do an ombre, your first like color, acrylic, anything, whatever, it has to be a thin layer, but also very pigmented, making sure that there are no clear spots or any spots that you can see through. You can see it's kind of pulling at the tip. I just kind of remove that, make sure it's fully thin and even. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to explain everything as best as I can. I personally have never had any issues with this method. It doesn't peel as long as you encapsulate, of course. You should definitely try this out if you don't have the specific colored acrylic in your hand, but you do in gel polish. It's definitely something that I feel helped me so much, and it cuts down time too. Anyways, let's keep going. Now we're gonna be putting Flamingo right where the tip meets the natural nail as always, and blending the top, pushing it down, and then once I cover sidewall to sidewall, blend. Now, I did do a mistake. This color is a bit see-through, more like sheer, so you can't tell on camera, but when I finished, I could see definitely where the color started. Now, if you have a sheer color like this, you can still use it, but make sure that the color that you're using, it's a bit lighter, like pastels, whites, whatever, to create more of a seamless blend. Always look out for that. Not every ombre is gonna look perfect. You have to make sure you are choosing correct product. Now I'm gonna be using I did use a bigger bead because I did notice that it was a bit sheer. So I'm adding more product, that way maybe the color would kind of blend a little bit more. And here I am, I'm pushing it close to the cuticle, covering the entire cuticle area, pressing down and then blending. I did add more product after this, but always keep that in mind. I feel like a lot of people don't show things that could go wrong with nails. No matter how long you've been in the game or in the industry, not everything goes right, you know? But on camera, it looks perfect. It looks like there's not even a color unless you can actually see it. Maybe I'm crazy. But I did add a little bit more product after this, and it did look a little bit better. Now, I encapsulated. Had I used another color that was more like pigmented, then maybe the blend would have been way better. But it still looked great. It still looked super pretty. I thought it was gonna look good. It looked good in my head when I chose the colors, but it's okay. It's definitely a method you can still use. Just make sure you keep that in mind because gel polish is very pigmented. What I should have done is maybe grabbed a brush and kind of blended the top. That way it didn't create a harsh line, I guess. Maybe something y'all could use in case something like this happens to you. Grab a brush and just kind of tap to blend the top if the color is too harsh. But that is it. Here we have it. That is the gel polish method that I definitely recommend and know it will save you so much more time. There are many other methods to ombres, not just these. If y'all would like a tutorial of a specific ombre method, comment down below. Here you have it, the acrylic ombre, glitter ombre, and gel polish ombre. They look so pretty just like this, but I'm gonna go ahead and shape them and I will be right back. Boom, here we have it. Oh my goodness, there's just something about an ombre that I just love so much. But anyways, here I am. I'm going to just put top coat because an ombre is not an ombre without top coat, duh. Unless you like it matte. I mean, everyone has preferences, so it's okay. I like both. They look gorgeous. Anyways, I hope that this video helped you all at least a little bit. I do try my best to explain things as best as I can. But anyways, I hope you all have an amazing day. Remember to check out toocutenails.com. If any of these products are calling your name, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and follow our TikTok and Instagram. Bye.